Fear doesn't begin with shadows. It doesn't begin with screams. It begins with silence. The kind of silence that presses on your chest until you can't breathe. That's what I found inside room 6. I had been driving for 12 hours. The storm turned the road into black water. When I saw the glowing motel sign, it felt like salvation. I pulled into the lot. Empty. Every room was dark, except one, the office. Inside, the clerk sat behind the desk. Still. Pale. His eyes didn't move. His face didn't change. Room 6, end of the hall. He slid me the key. No smile. No blink. The door creaked open. The carpet was stained. The wallpaper peeled like skin. And on the wall, a mirror, too large for a room so small. The air smelled wrong, like damp earth and rust. I sat on the bed. Springs groaned. Lightning flashed, and in the mirror, a figure stood behind me. I turned, but the room was empty. 2:13 in the morning. Tap, tap, tap. From the bathroom door. I hadn't touched it since I arrived. The handle rattled, and then, breathing. Heavy. Wet. Someone was inside. Waiting, then silence. Deeper than before. I froze. Afraid to breathe. Afraid to move, my eyes drifted to the mirror, and there it was. My reflection, smiling, but I wasn't smiling. The reflection raised its hand, waved, and walked away, walked out of frame, while I was still sitting there. The bathroom door opened, darkness spilling out. I bolted, ran into the hall, but the exit stretched further. Every step longer, every door, the same. Room 6, each one swung open. Inside, the same bed, the same mirror, the same. Me, hundreds of me, grinning, watching. I stumbled back to the lobby, but the desk was empty. The clerk was gone. The front door, gone, and the walls, covered in mirrors. Each reflection moved differently. Some screamed. Some clawed at the glass. Some whispered. I thought I'd checked into a motel, but I checked into a prison. No one ever checks out of room 6, not me, not you. When you dream tonight, listen for the knock. Tap, tap, tap. Room 6 is waiting. I should have kept driving. But when exhaustion drapes over you like a wet blanket, reason slips. The endless white lines of the highway blurred, and when I saw the neon glow of a roadside sign, I thought I'd found salvation. It read Pine Shadow Motel. At least it tried to. Half the letters were dead, leaving only In Staumo L. The T pulsed weakly, like a dying heartbeat. The parking lot held 3 cars, each parked carelessly, like their owners had left in a rush. The air outside was still, too still. Inside the office, the manager sat hunched over a newspaper. His skin sagged like melted wax, his eyes watery and gray. He slid me a brass key without looking up. Room 6, no ID, no register, and I asked if they served breakfast. His lips twitched, almost a smile. We don't serve breakfast. The corridor stretched long and narrow, light bulbs buzzing, walls scarred with scratches around the doors. My room stank of mildew and metal. The curtains sagged, the TV buzzed to static even after I unplugged it, and the walls weren't silent. Something dragged across the floor in room 7 next door. Slow, heavy, but whenever I pressed my ear to the wall, it stopped. Too suddenly. That was the first time I thought, I won't be sleeping tonight. Around midnight, I stepped outside. The hall stretched forever, paint peeling, doors numbered in faded paint. I stopped when I reached room 7. Its door was ajar. From inside came a smell of bleach covering something foul. And whispers. Many voices, too many, low and overlapping like a chant. The door creaked wider. I didn't look. I hurried back, slammed mine shut, locked the chain. Footsteps followed, bare feet slapping the concrete. They stopped outside my door. The chain rattled. Then 3 deliberate knocks. I didn't move. After a silence that seemed to last hours, the footsteps shuffled away. I peeked outside. The parking lot was empty. The 3 cars were gone. Only mine remained, but the office light was still on. The manager was there, staring out the window, staring at me. Later, the voices came again. Not through the hall, through the wall. This time they whispered my name over and over, hissing it like a secret. I pressed my palms to my ears, but it didn't help. The voices weren't in the wall anymore. They were inside me. I ran. The office was empty, the chair still rocking. Behind the counter, a door I hadn't noticed stood ajar. From it came the hum of those whispers and the stench of rot. I should have left, but something dragged me forward. A staircase led down. The concrete steps were slick, the air colder than the desert night. At the bottom stretched a hallway lit by a single swinging bulb. The walls weren't finished drywall, but wood beams covered in symbols, circles, scratches, jagged lines dripping faint red. Doors lined the corridor, rusted metal padlocked from the outside. Something moved inside one. A hand, too long, gray and peeling, slipped through the gap. Fingernails split and curling. From the other doors came thuds and scratching. Faces pressed against cracks, eyes hollow, mouths stretched too wide. The whispers swelled into a chant. My name, they weren't guests. They were prisoners. Kept alive in the walls, I bolted. The chorus followed, echoing up the stairs. The motel door slammed open behind me. Shadows spilled out, too many, dragging themselves across the asphalt. I fumbled with my car keys, dropped them, screamed. The engine sputtered, caught. Headlights blazed. The sign lit up bright, not broken anymore, not flickering. Every letter alive, glowing clear, welcome back. I tore out of the lot, gravel spraying. In the rearview mirror, the shadows swarmed like ants, spilling endlessly from the motel's doors. I didn't stop until sunrise. I told myself it was exhaustion, a hallucination. But weeks later, when I unpacked the bag I'd left behind, I found something tucked inside. A brass key. Plastic tag room 7. I never touched that door, but the key is mine now, heavy and cold in my hand. And some nights lying awake, I hear them again, faint whispers pressing through the walls of my own home, calling my name, still waiting for me to come back. The road had been empty for hours, no headlights behind me, no cars coming the other way. Just the endless black stretch of highway cutting through the desert like a scar. My phone had been dead since sunset. The gas gauge hovered on empty. When I saw the glow of a neon sign in the distance, relief hit me like a drug. Civilization. Rest. Somewhere to stop before my body gave up. The sign grew clearer as I rolled closer. Rest Haven Motel. The word rest flickered in and out, like it was fighting to stay alive. The parking lot was cracked asphalt, weeds pushing through. 5 cars sat scattered across the lot, all coated in a thick layer of dust, like they hadn't moved in years. I pulled into a spot near the office. My headlights hit the glass door, and that's when I froze. Someone was already standing there, a thin man in a suit, his skin pale under the buzzing neon. He didn't move as I parked, didn't wave, just watched me as I stepped out of my car. He turned, slipping inside the office without a word. The lobby smelled like stale coffee and something sour, like spoiled milk. The man stood behind the counter now, hands folded. His smile stretched too wide. His eyes didn't meet mine. They looked past me as if he expected someone else to walk in. "You have a room?" I asked. "We always have rooms," he said. His voice was thin, papery, like dead leaves rustling. He slid a brass key across the counter. "Room 9, no register. No ID, just the key." I started to ask about the rate, but he was gone. 1 second behind the counter and the next. The doorway behind him swinging gently. I hadn't seen him move. I walked out with the key. The motel stretched in a single row. 10 rooms, all doors facing the lot. The air was heavy, humid, even though this was the desert. A moth circled the flickering light above my door as I slid the key in. The room smelled of wet carpet. The curtains were drawn, heavy with dust. The bedspread was patterned with faded flowers. A television in the corner hummed faint static even though the screen was black. I sat on the bed. The mattress sagged beneath me, damp to the touch. That's when I noticed the clock. A plastic alarm clock on the nightstand. Its red digits glowed. 12 count. I unpacked. I showered. I tried to shake the feeling of being watched, but every time I looked at that clock, 12 and I unplugged it. The red glow stayed. The cord dangled loose, but the numbers still burned. 12R, I pulled the curtain back. The parking lot stretched silent, empty. My car sat alone. The 5 others I had seen earlier were gone, and yet I hadn't heard a single engine. A shadow moved across the lot. Slow, deliberate. I dropped the curtain, heart pounding. When I peeked again, the lot was empty. But when I turned from the window, the clock now read 12:01. I told myself it was exhaustion. The road, the heat, my brain playing tricks, but when I lay down, I couldn't sleep. The TV hissed faint static, though the screen was black. The hum filled the room like a mosquito I couldn't swat. At some point, I drifted into a shallow, uneasy sleep. I woke to the sound of footsteps, slow, heavy. Right outside my door, I froze, listened. The steps stopped. I forced myself to peek. Through the curtain, the parking lot was full. Again, the dusty cars I had seen earlier, they were all back, lined up neatly, headlights glinting under the neon. And standing beside them were people, men, women, children, all facing the motel in a perfect row, just standing, still as mannequins. I stumbled back from the curtain, breath shaking. My heart hammered so loud I thought it would give me away. When I dared to look again, the lot was empty. Cars, people, all gone. The clock read 12, ringed again. In the morning, if it was morning, I stepped outside. The sun was bright, the desert sky cloudless. My car sat exactly where I left it, but the air felt wrong, too still. No birds, no insects, no sound at all. I saw movement at the far end of the row of rooms. A woman. She was sweeping the walkway with a wooden broom over and over, though there was nothing to sweep. Her hair hung over her face, her motions mechanical. I raised a hand. "Excuse me." She froze mid-motion. Her head turned, slow as a hinge rusted shut. Her hair fell back, and I saw her face, or what was left of it. Her skin was gray, paper thin. Her eyes cloudy, pupils swimming like ink dropped in water. She smiled, teeth blackened, lips cracked. Then she whispered, though the distance between us was far too great for me to hear. "Still?" The word reached me. "Stay." I stumbled back, rushing to my car. My hands shook as I jammed the key into the ignition. The engine didn't even try. Dead. The air shifted behind me. When I looked in the rearview mirror, the woman was gone, but every single room door along the row was now standing open. Darkness yawned inside each one, even though the desert sun was blazing overhead. And in that silence, I heard it again. The tick of the clock, though I wasn't in the room anymore. It was everywhere now. A slow, deliberate tick, tick, tick. I stumbled back into the lobby, desperate, frantic. The pale man in the suit was behind the counter again, smiling, eyes unfocused. "What's happening here?" I demanded. "What is this place?" He tilted his head, bird-like. "You wanted rest," he said softly. "You came to the right place. No, I need to leave. Where's the nearest town? Do you have a phone I can use?" His smile widened. "You don't need to leave. You've already arrived." I slammed my hands on the counter. "Listen to me." And for the first time, his eyes locked on mine. Cold. Bottomless. "You checked in," he whispered. "That means you belong to us now." Before I could respond, the lobby clock on the wall ticked. 8:01, and every door in the motel slammed shut at once. I stumbled out of the lobby, heart slamming against my ribs. The lot was empty again. The cars, the woman, the people, gone. The desert sky stretched above me, too blue, too clean, like a painting, flat and fake. I pulled at my car door, tried the ignition again. Nothing. Not even a click. That's when I noticed something else. The gas station across the road. I hadn't seen it last night. A flickering sign, shelves of snacks visible through dusty glass. Hope flared in my chest. Maybe someone there could help. I sprinted across the road, shoved the door open, and froze. It wasn't a gas station. Not anymore. Inside, it was another motel room, same curtains, same damp carpet, same humming TV, the same clock on the nightstand. My breath caught. I staggered back, nearly falling. The desert around me shimmered like heat waves rising off asphalt. The gas station blurred. The office blurred. Even the highway beyond seemed to ripple and bend, and then the ticking louder now, surrounding me. I turned. Every door in the motel was opening. Slowly, one by one. From the darkness inside, shapes began to step out. Men, women, children, their skin gray, their movement stiff. The guests. Their eyes all turned to me, blank, clouded, empty. I ran. I didn't care where. I sprinted past the rooms, past the office, out into the desert. The sand crunched under my shoes, the heat burning my lungs. I didn't stop until the motel was a distant shape behind me. But when I finally turned back, it wasn't distant, it was right there, 10 feet away. The same cracked parking lot, the same neon sign buzzing like I had never left. I screamed, dropping to my knees. The motel doors slammed shut all at once, and then silence. Night fell without warning, one blink, and the desert sun was gone. The sky black, the stars choked out by clouds. The neon sign buzzed above me, the word rest flickering. I forced myself back inside the room. My room, number 9, maybe if I just waited, maybe if I just slept. I collapsed onto the bed, clutching my chest. My breath ragged, shallow. The TV flickered on. Static filled the screen. Shapes moved in the white noise, shadows writhing like they were trapped inside. And then a face pushed through the static. Pale. Hollow. My own. It stared back at me. My lips moved, but no sound came out until finally, it whispered, "You don't leave." I threw the remote at the TV. The screen shattered into black. But the voice continued. Not from the TV, from the clock. "You too. Don't leave." I covered my ears, but it wasn't sound anymore. It was inside me. The words etched into my bones. "You don't leave." I woke, or thought I woke, and to the sound of the shower running, but I hadn't turned it on. The bathroom door was closed. Steam rolled out from underneath. "Hello?" My voice was a rasp. No answer. My hand shook as I reached for the doorknob. The water roared louder. The steam thickened, filling the room with choking heat. I yanked the door open. The shower was empty. But the walls, they were covered in writing, carved deep into the tile, hundreds of words, all repeating the same sentence. "You checked in. You belong. You don't leave." I stumbled back, hitting the doorframe. The steam curled around me, whispering like voices. I slammed the bathroom door shut and found myself staring at the pale man in the suit, standing in the corner of my room still, watching, his smile wider now. "You understand," he said softly. "Time doesn't move here. It only collects. That's why they stay. Who are they?" I choked, his eyes glittered endless black. They were like you, travelers, strangers, lost souls looking for rest. He leaned closer. "And now they are the rest." The pale man's words echoed in my skull. "They are the rest." I stumbled back toward the bed. My chest heaved, my mind fighting to understand. The TV hissed again, static glowing in the dark. Faces pressed against the glass screen now, dozens of them. Men, women, children, all screaming silently, their mouths stretched wide. I turned, desperate to run. But the door to room 9 had vanished, only wall. The pale man stepped closer, his voice calm, almost soothing. "You already feel it, don't you? The weight of the hours, the stillness of the minutes, the silence between the ticks. It's inside you now." I shook my head violently. No, I'm leaving. I don't belong here." His grin widened. "You checked in." The walls of the room began to pulse, breathing. The faded floral wallpaper rippled as if the motel itself had a heartbeat. From the bathroom, the words carved into the tiles bled fresh. Crimson. "You belong, you belong, you belong." The floor buckled beneath me. I fell to my knees. When I looked up, the pale man was gone. But I wasn't alone. The guests had returned. They filled the room wall to wall, shoulder to shoulder, pressing close. Their gray faces leaned toward me, mouths whispering in unison. "You don't leave." You don't leave. You don't leave. Their voices were dry, cracking like wind through bone. I shoved past them, screaming, clawing through their cold bodies. I reached the window, ripped the curtain aside, the parking lot, the neon sign, the cars, and standing among them was me, my reflection, my double, standing by my car, keys in hand, looking up at my window, and then it smiled. Darkness swallowed the room. The ticking of the clock roared now, shaking the walls. Rattling the bed frame, I clutched my head, screaming, as the sound grew unbearable. Tick, 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 until finally, silence. When I opened my eyes, I was standing in the lobby. The man in the suit was gone. The desk was empty. The key to room 9 lay on the counter. Only, it was in my hand. I stared at it, frozen. My breath caught, because it wasn't brass anymore, it was bone. I stumbled outside. The desert stretched around me again. The road waited, endless, inviting. My car sat in its space. The engine roared to life on the first try. Relief hit me like a wave. I slammed the car into gear, speeding down the empty highway. The motel shrinking in the rearview mirror. The neon sign flickered, buzzed, vanished into the distance. For the first time in what felt like forever, I breathed. I had escaped, or so I thought. When I finally reached a town, I pulled into a gas station. I stumbled inside, desperate to see people. Real people. The cashier looked up. A teenage boy, bored, chewing gum. "You look like hell, man," he said. Please, can I use your phone? I just need to call." Then I froze. Behind him on the wall hung a clock. Its red digits burned bright. My breath hitched. "Hey," the boy said. "You okay?" But his voice was thin, papery, like leaves rustling in the wind. Slowly he lifted his head and smiled.